Lord, I did it again, y'all. I've been talking to y'all. I had to get used to how I do my new intro and everything. Because I just knew I was talking to y'all. I was sitting there having a whole conversation with y'all. I just need y'all to know that. Happy hump day, everybody. Happy hump day. Let me say hi to the people that are in the chat. What's up, Lemon Kush? Hey, Tracy. What's up, Lock Queen? Cool Gamer. What's going on? Creative Diva. Yes. Hey, Miss Bay Thing. Happy New Year. Hey, what's going on? Happy New Year to you as well. Working in the storm. Y'all got it's storming over there where y'all are? Hey, Sharice. What's up, Janae? Yes, yes, yes. Creative Diva. Thank you. Josiah did it. I feel a twerk in my spirit. The intro music got y'all wanting to twerk. What's up, Diva One? And Happy New Year to you, my love. Thank you, thank you. Yes, Dre. Hey, I'm glad all of y'all are liking the new intro. I told y'all I'm trying to do some new things in 2023, honey. Renette, you said you made it to your first Really Be TV live of the new year. Well, hey, girl, hey. You was about to text me about the silence. Girl, I just knew I was talking to y'all. What's up, Tina Marie? Yes, I just knew I was talking to y'all. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this. So listen, y'all wanted me to watch this Surviving R. Kelly. So I did. I watched it. So let's talk about it. Okay. Basically, so we have Surviving R. Kelly. This is part 3. Um, produced by Dream Hampton. I'm going to say that part 3 was 70% update on what we knew, the people the victims that we were introduced to, the stories that we were told. And I say it was 20 to 30% of the trial. There really was, I mean, the trial was the backdrop, but we really just got a lot of updates, some new information, some more graphic information. I'm going to say this. If there is anybody that has watched all 3 Surviving R. Kelly's with an open mind, and you still feel like this man ain't guilty, I don't know what to tell you. When you hear even some of his victims still trying to defend him, I think that lets you know how deep the manipulation went, how deep the abuse went, right? Oh, hold on a quick second. Okay, sorry about that. So, Renette said, "Girl, I watched it all today because of your reviews are awesome. Thank you, but my spirit is just disturbed. How can people still defend him? I don't understand. I don't understand. And let me say this, and I'm pointing the finger at myself when I say this, right? I'm not. I think that's lipstick on my face. I'm not pointing the finger at any of you all. You guys have to be honest. You all have to be honest about your situation, but I'm talking about me. Me. I have to say that I played my part in being complicit in this situation. I am of an age where I remember the tape. I am of an age where I remember the Aaliyah rumors and even the confirmation. I remember when MTV reported they had a copy of the marriage certificate. And I remember then we questioning, is it real? Is it fake? Oh, no, it can't be true. Oh, no. And I mean, the girl's album was literally Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. And the title song was about a young girl trying to get with an older guy and convincing him that they should go ahead and hook up because age ain't nothing but a number. He called himself the Pied Piper of R&B. It was almost as if he was taunting us with this. If you don't know who the Pied Piper was, you go do your research and go read the story of the Pied Piper. But make a long story short, it was about a strange musician who came to town and got all the kids to follow him by playing. When he would play his flute, it would mesmerize the kids and they would end up all following him. And he meant them no goodwill. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that. Really Be That tape was out when I was my sophomore year of college. I remember watching, didn't realize how. Right, Kenya. And I have to be honest, I remember seeing it as well. And I remember, listen, we watched it and I remember us. It was almost, I'm gonna be honest, I'm just going to tell y'all my truth. I was at a party, right? I was at like a little get together, the Pied Piper, not Peter Pan, but Peter Pan too, but the Pied Piper. It's an old story. Y'all go look up the story. But I remember it was like on this big screen at this person's house. And we were like, oh, you got the R. Kelly tape. Oh, I want to see the R. Kelly tape. They were literally selling the tape at the barbershops like you could buy a bootleg Medea video or whatever, right? And when I look back on it and I look back on our mindset, again, we were all complicit. We were all complicit, right? But let me get into this. And I told y'all that the first time I reviewed this as well. But let me get into it, child. Let's go and get into this. So I've looked at almost all four parts. I think I have like the last 15 minutes. I've gotten to the verdict. I think the rest of this is sort of just a wrap up of everything. I'll finish looking at it. It's like 20 minutes left. But I think we got the gist of it. I think we got the gist of it. Okay. So part one starts with the mute R. Kelly mindset, right? And for those who do not remember what the mute R. Kelly was about, it was basically asking people to stop buying and listening to his music. Now, in all reality, R. Kelly don't really make a whole lot of money off of his music, but I think it was the idea of let's mute him. And R. Kelly, they showed a video where R. Kelly actually was clowning them, saying, "Oh, you can't mute me. If you wanted to do so, this was in 2018. If you want to do something to me, you should have done that 20 years ago. You can't mute me now. I'm R. Kelly, right? We were complicit. We have been conditioned to objectify black girls, even as black girls. Yeah, T. Jones. And again, I'm gonna own my part in it, right? Now, I always believed the stories. Let me be clear, but even in my believing that he was messing with young girls, see, there's a difference between, and work with me when I say this, y'all. I need y'all to work with me. There's a difference between a man who dates younger women, who dates girls. That's still disturbing that a 25-year-old man wants to date a 16-year-old little girl. Okay, we talked about that the other day. That's not okay. But that's not even what R. Kelly was doing. R. Kelly was brutalizing these women. And we're going to get into that because it was absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific, right? Brutalized those young girls. And there's a difference. Again, I'm not saying that it's okay, but brutalized. Shit, yeah, I'm sorry. Hold on. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay, I'm back. I'm back for good. I'm back for good. Sorry about that. Something I had to take care of something. So, um, yes, yes, the Grand Dame is our co-host for today. All right. So the documentary, the thing I liked about the documentary is that it sort of went back, but it didn't go back to the point where you were rehashing everything. Like a couple of the women's stories, I honestly didn't remember their story because they didn't rehash their whole story. It sort of picked up where, like Faith, I don't remember Faith's story. I would have to go back and look at the documentary. I don't remember her whole story. I mean, I remember she was a musician and that, um, she was messing around with R. Kelly, but I do not remember the specifics of her story. But anyway, um, in his first trial, they talk about his first trial in 2008, there were 50 witnesses. At his second trial, there were over 300 witnesses, I believe it was. The first victim was in 1991, and it was a woman. Well, she was not a woman. I'm sorry, a young girl by the name of Tiffany Hawkins. She was 15. Now, Tiffany Hawkins was she was the first. She was the first case, and in 1994 we had Aaliyah, excuse me, not Aaliyah. And then like around 2006 was the infamous tape. And so before we even saw the tape, this had been going on for over 10 years. All of these different accusations. Now, Tiffany Hawkins spoke about her experience. She said, for all of these years, she was known as the girl who lied on R. Kelly because we know that in his 2008 trial, he was acquitted. Part of the reason why he was acquitted is because people would not testify. Aaliyah was on her was set to testify. Aaliyah never testified. Um, it was somebody else that was supposed to testify. And we know that the young lady from the infamous tape, she in the 2008 case didn't testify. Or did she testify and say she was legal age or that she lied to him? Something like that. Either she testified and told him that she lied to him or she didn't testify. I don't remember, but I know that her testimony was inconsequential, right? I'm 28, so I was pretty young when all of this was making news, but I do know I heavily side-eyed Jay-Z for doing all those collabs with him and that song Post Verdict, very shady and disgusting. Post, you talking about from the acquittal, the first one, the acquittal in 2008? But here's the thing, we can't just side-eye Jay-Z. Let's be honest. If we're going to talk, let's be fair and let's be honest. We can't just side-eye Jay-Z. If you go and look at all the people that R. Kelly worked with after he was acquitted in 2008, you will have names like Michael Jackson, Prince, right? If we're going to start talking about, no, Nikki. Okay, then I have my date wrong. Then throw that out. Then I have my date wrong. Because you're right. She did. Okay, then I have my date wrong. I throw it out then. But it was something she wanted. It was something she wanted from Aaliyah. Shit, I don't know. But throw it out there. You're right. Throw that out. Maybe when she went to the police. Because remember, Tiffany knew. Okay, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, child. I want to say I think that Tiffany and Aaliyah knew each other, but don't quote me on that. See, I don't remember everything from the first and second documentary specifically. Listen, Amanda Seales need to go take a seat because Amanda Seales, her hands are bloody because she has falsely accused a man of assault against her and come to find out that it wasn't true. So Amanda Seales can go sit down. You can miss me with him, and not you. I'm saying in general. Y'all can miss me with Amanda Seales because she got dirt on her hands too. She ain't clean her it ain't clean in the buttermilk with her. So all right, well, put that to the side, child. But neither here because I don't have the dates. I clearly got my dates wrong. But Tiffany said that basically the first case she was not believed and he was acquitted, and so then of course she became the person that lied on R. Kelly. Oh, she lied on R. Kelly. She lied on R. Kelly. Wasn't Faith the older woman that was kept? No, that wasn't Faith. That was Kit. Yeah, that was Kit was the older woman. And I'm not even going. Well, all of them said they had to ask for food or water. All of listen, the thing about their stories is that their stories are consistent. Their stories are consistent. You know, when you hear their stories are very consistent. Um okay. The documentary comes out, and let me say this to y'all. I think that the documentary, I'm gonna say the documentary is probably 80% of the reason why R. Kelly's in jail. Things had started coming out. Remember, the parents started, Joycelyn Savage's parents, Azrael's parents started saying that R. Kelly was running a cult, running a sex cult, and that they couldn't talk to their children, their daughters, and they didn't have they didn't they weren't able to talk to them, and he was keeping them from them. That started coming out, but then R. Kelly stayed roaming around my high school in his limo when I was there. They said that in the first documentary that he always was, that early on he kept going back to his high school. Yeah, the Savages caused a ruckus in Atlanta. Right. So that started coming out already. But the documentary, because here's what happened. You had Surviving R. Kelly Part 1. And then what happened was so many people came out afterwards and said, wait a minute, it happened to me too. It happened to me too. It happened to me too. Hence hashtag Me Too movement. Now, y'all know how I feel about when I say where there's smoke. Y'all know I feel where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Am I gonna say that every single person that came out after the documentary story is 100% truthful? I don't know. Y'all know I'm not gonna sit here and question a victim or an alleged victim, but when I say where there's smoke, the same thing I said about Bill Cosby. When you start hearing all these people's stories, these women ain't talk to each other yet their story is the same. And I'm gonna give y'all some of the examples. I'm gonna give y'all some of the examples. Please hit the like button. We got 98 people in the room. Thank y'all for being here. If y'all could please hit the like button so the notification can continue to go out. Exactly, Dre. It's easy to point the finger at Jay-Z, but he ain't the only one. If you go look at R. Kelly's discography and you see all the people that he worked with after 2008, I'm just saying. Okay. So what happened in New York was, so we know that he was arrested in New York, he was arrested in Chicago, and he was arrested in Atlanta, and he was charged in all three states. But New York actually won the right to try him first. And they tried him on a RICO charge. And the reason why that's important and the reason why that's so significant is because with the RICO charge, what they have to prove with a RICO charge is that he was running a criminal corporation, a criminal conspiracy, right? A RICO charge is what they get the mafia on, is what they would get the drug dealers on back in the 90s, where you are building this case to say, listen, this person may not be physically touching the drugs every day, but they are the head of this corporation, of this criminal enterprise. And so what they were saying was, listen, we don't have to necessarily prove that R. Kelly specifically assaulted this person or that person. What we only have to prove is that it is a criminal enterprise that he is the head of. And so that eliminated the idea that each woman had to testify separately, right? It eliminated that element. 2019, he was arrested. In 2021, his trial started in New York. Now, he ended up, Joycelyn's parents were there. Joycelyn is still with R. Kelly, with the camp, with R. Kelly's camp. We know last week she said she had a whole baby by him through in vitro fertilization, child. You're about to DM me with some Twitter, some tea happening now. Okay. Okay, babe. You DM it to me. Let me know when to check my phone. R broke the silence of Aaliyah's family by signing over the rights to his music. Yeah, child. And you now I know people always want to talk about the parents, the parents, the parents. I don't blame the parents in most of these cases. There are two specific situations where I am gonna say I'm side-eyeing the parent, and that's definitely one of them. Aaliyah's family, I'm side-eyeing the F out of y'all. And because I feel like y'all were more concerned about her image than y'all were about this predator being held accountable. Go ahead, Tracy. Don't you start that today. So at the trial, we saw all of his supporters there. There's still women that follow him around the country that support him to free R. Kelly. R. Kelly is innocent, yada, yada, yada. It's plenty of them out there, child. We got a chance to see the fathers talk. We saw Azriel's father, Faith's father, and Joycelyn's father. And Azriel's father told the story of when she came home. She came home in 2019, and basically she just called her father and was like, Dad, come and get me. Remember, they've been trying to get her back for years and years and years. And finally, she called and said, Dad, come get me. And he said that he was at the hospital with his mom. His mom was in the hospital at the time. And his wife said, go directly to the airport. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go get my baby. Because they live in Florida. And of course, she was in Chicago. He went straight to the airport. He flew to Chicago. And he said by the time he got to Chicago, she wasn't answering his text anymore. So then he was like, oh my gosh, she changed her mind. Somebody got to her, and he said later on that night, she texted him and she was like, all right, be ready at such and such a time. Meet me at such and such a place. He didn't give too many details, which I can respect. Probably was the reason why he didn't give too many of the details. But he said he rented the biggest van he could find, and they drove back. He didn't even get on a plane coming back. They drove back. And he said she literally slept almost the entire way. And when she finally woke up, she was like, Dad, let me drive the rest of the way home. Let me drive home. Right. And he said it's been hard. It's been an adjustment. It's been hard. He said the biggest adjustment has been, when she left, she was a child, but she's not a child anymore. And not only is she not a child, but she's a traumatized adult. She's been through some things. And even her father said, I did not know the extent of what that man did to my child until she testified. He said she gave me and her mother the watered down version. I mean, obviously we knew that she, that they, were having sexual relations. And, we had heard the stories about him being kinky. We had heard the stories about, they couldn't eat until he gave them permission to eat and things like that. But to the extent that when she testified of how deep and depraved it went, I can only say that I know that after some of these girls testified, R. Kelly is probably in the safest place for him. I'm just saying. I'm having a hard time believing this about Aaliyah's mother. I know the uncle was trash, but you think the uncle was telling the truth about her mother? Yeah. And I'm going to tell you why I think the uncle was telling the truth, because they had a signed NDA. They had to sign paperwork. They showed it in the documentary, to sign paperwork. And it had Aaliyah's signature on it. It had her father's signature on it. It had R. Kelly's signature on it. Like, yeah, I believe it. Because what happened was, after they resolved what R. Kelly was going to pay them for them to keep quiet, he made them sign an NDA. And in the NDA, it specifically said that she can't speak of any sexual abuse or any physical abuse. Why would you put that in the NDA if it didn't happen? Who does that? If none of that happened, why is that specifically listed in the NDA? I remember when my family moved to Florida, and the same complex as R. Kelly, my dad moved us out of there the next month. This white lady next door told him that she didn't know about his past. Child. What's up, Daddy? I only got 46 likes. I know I don't have no 46 likes with 100 people in the chat now. Come on, y'all. Where can you watch this? It's on Lifetime. It's on Lifetime. Oh yeah, the wife definitely the wife definitely knew. Okay. Um Now, before the trial, I don't know if you guys remember hearing how Azriel's car was set on fire. Well, we found out that it went deeper than that. It wasn't just the car that was set on fire. Hey, Queen Diva. Mwah. It wasn't just the car that was set on fire. It was the person who set the car on fire. He doused gasoline all around the house. So had the car continued to burn and ignited that trail, the whole house would have been surrounded. The whole house would have been surrounded. And Azriel's father was like, it was 6 of us in that house at the time. It was literally 6 of us in the house at the time. Okay, thank you. Time would be shalom. I'm gonna look at it in a second. Because I don't have long, y'all. Because I at 8 o'clock, I'm gonna be doing riches over on TSF. So I'm gonna try to say, I got 30 minutes. I'm gonna try to get as much of this out in the next 30 minutes. Okay. Let me see here. But they ended up, the guy was found, the person who set the fire was a man by the name of Michael Williams, who has since pled guilty and been convicted of it. And he was a cousin of R. Kelly's publicist. What's up, DC Kool-Aid? What Okay, they talked about what the survivors have gone through since the documentary. A lot of them have had their lives threatened. Faith said that she was actually assaulted. They've been doxxed. Their personal information has been put out on the internet. Their jobs have been called. All these different things have happened to them since the documentaries and them coming out and speaking. So, and Xavier, to answer your question, absolutely, they talked about the boys who testified. Right before the trial, the prosecution gave the defense 52 pages of potential witnesses that included John Doe's, not just Jane Doe's, but it included John Doe's as well. In the opening statement, his attorney gave a 3-hour opening statement and never once addressed the criminal enterprise. She even herself referred to the victims as girls. That's probably not the word you want to use. Azriel was the first to testify. She was Jane Doe number 6, I think. Her story is absolutely, I told y'all, it's absolutely horrific. I'm just gonna go through I'm just gonna hit you with the checklist. Her journal was in evidence, and she had a journal that listed the rules of what she could and could not do. She had to call him daddy. When he burped or whatever, she had to bless you, your excellence, something crazy like that, child. When they would have sexual relations, he would ejaculate on her and would not allow her to bathe or wash it off. If they had sexual relations and it was not pleasing to him, if he felt like she was not, it wasn't good, he would punish her. If y'all got a weak stomach, pause now, walk away, put the phone on. I'm telling you now, if you got a weak stomach, walk away. Walk away. I'm going to get y'all to the count of 3. If he felt like the sex was not pleasing to him, he would make her smear defecation on her. He would make her eat it, make her drink pee. He videotaped everything, which really was part of his downfall, because a lot of these videotapes were in court, and of course he beat her. He forced her into group sex. Faith was the next young lady to testify, and that's the one whose story I didn't remember, but I just remember she was a singer as well. She testified, and some of the she was 19. Hold on, because my notes are out of order. Hold on, y'all, because my notes are out of order, child. skip pages by accident. Okay, here it is right here. Faith again spoke of sexual acts, but her main testimony, and what was interesting is that she spoke about the back arching thing, and one of the other victims spoke about how he had to teach her how to please him, and he had to teach her how to arch her back. Faith spoke about the same thing, about him teaching her how to arch her back, right? So again, these women didn't speak to each other, yet they didn't have the same stories, yet they testified to the same thing. But Faith mainly spoke about the intimidation. After she participated in the first documentary, his assistant, a woman by the name of Cash Jones, walked up to Faith and her mother and at the hotel where they were staying. So they found them at the hotel where they were staying and told Faith and her mother, listen, held a phone up and said, this phone is just full of videos. And Faith was like, she took the phone, she looked at the videos, and she said, do what you got to do. Like, if you're going to release them, release them. Like, at this point, it doesn't matter. I done told the whole world what happened to me. So if you're going to release them, release them. Another man also walked up to Faith's mother and threatened her with a weapon. That is the man that eventually was convicted, will plead guilty to calling in the threat at the premiere, the weapons threat at the premiere. And shout out to Nika Knight, because he actually went on her YouTube channel and did an interview and denied doing it, and then he actually confessed to it, and he was convicted of that and also convicted of intimidation of a witness. They were able to prove through Faith's testimony, and this was interesting how they explained this, because I think a lot of times people are like, well, they were of age and they were over 18 and they voluntarily did it and they knew what they were doing. But the way, again, to be able to prove the criminal enterprise, the way they explained it was Faith flew across state lines to go see him. And there was an incident when at one point in time where he threatened her with a weapon, had the weapon to her head while he was questioning her about some things he wasn't happy about. After that, he then forced her to have sex. And the way that the law is written is, yes, she voluntarily got on a plane. Yes, she was over the age of 18. Yes, she was voluntarily having sex with him. But once he introduced that weapon into the situation and he used the weapon as a threat, even though they had sex later on that evening or the next day or whatever, the threat of the fact that he threatened her with a weapon changed the dynamic of the situation, where it was no longer voluntary, because now you are performing under the threat of violence. That makes sense what I'm saying? So even though the weapon may not have been in the room, if you're staying with somebody, you're there on their dime, they flew you out and they control your air, they control your ticket back. Now the dynamics have changed. So it's not as easy as, or as simple as, well, they were over 18. They knew what he was. They voluntarily did it. Okay, all of that's true, but it doesn't change the fact that a crime was committed. Y'all see what I'm saying? Okay. During the trial, this is let you know just how narcissistic and sick this man is. During the trial, while they were playing a tape, an audio tape where Faith was being violated, being abused. Now, only the jury and the judge could see the tape, because this was during COVID. The jury wasn't even in the room with them. So the jury the jury wasn't even in the room where the reporters and stuff were. So only the jury and the judge could see the tape, but you could hear the tape. R. Kelly, and in the background of this tape, R. Kelly's music was playing. They said that R. Kelly was sitting at the table and playing the piano on the table and like vibing like to the music, as if they're not watching a tape of you abusing this woman. You're listening to the music. And he did it. They said he did it throughout the whole video. Like for the duration of the video, I was like, you know what? This man is crazy as hell. All right. Some of his other co-conspirators was Demetrius Smith. He was the one that actually got the fake marriage license for him and Aaliyah to get married, or the fake ID so him and Aaliyah could get married. Larry Hood, who was a Chicago police officer, who testified that he never saw R. Kelly with any underage girls. But then they asked him, well, did you ever see him with Aaliyah? He said, yeah. Duh. Aaliyah was underage. Duh. Okay. The doctor testified and confirmed that he did have genital herpes, which again is something that came up in the documentary. And that's again something that a lot of his supporters were like, it's not true. It's not true. It's not true. And Faith was actually one of the women. It was Faith and it was another lady who spoke on him transmitting herpes to them. And Faith was like, so she was like, so I mean, when that came out at trial, I was like, I'm vindicated because everybody said I was lying on him. Everybody said that's not true. Oh, he didn't have herpes. Oh, he didn't this, he didn't that. And so she was like, all right, now what you got to say now? Like, y'all need to apologize because everybody called me a liar. But his doctor confirmed that he did have genital herpes. Now they brought up a good point. A lot of people were like, well, by 2019, R. Kelly was broke. By 2019, R. Kelly was broke. And it brings the point of he got away with all of this as long as he had money to pay people, as long as he had money to pay the lawyers, as long as he had money to pay off the victims, as long as he could manipulate the situation with his money. But now that the money is gone, he doesn't have those people in place. He doesn't even have his enablers around him that would pay the women off, that would threaten the women, right? Geronda Pace was the 14-year-old. She testified at trial as well. Geronda Pace was the one who showed up at his first trial. She was 14, who showed up at his first trial. And again, a lot of people blamed her. Oh, he was at the trial, and how could she, blah blah blah. But yeah, let's not forget she was still 14 years old. She didn't think he was guilty, and she got caught up, right? Again, she explained how she got away. She said that she was with him for 6 months. He was physical, he was physical with her and all of that stuff as well. And she said that the last night that she stayed with him, he choked her until she blacked out. She said when she came to, he spit on her. He ejaculated on her face. And then he told her to go wipe, go clean yourself up. And she said that when she went in the bathroom, she wiped it off of her face and onto her shirt. And that is what she took to the authorities to prove that there was sexual conduct between her and R. Kelly. Maybe she was watching too much Monica Lewinsky, child. I don't know. That's all I could think about was Monica Lewinsky when she told that story. Diana, who was his assistant for 15 years, she swore up and down that she never saw nothing, that she didn't have nothing to do with it. But all of the other women said no, that was his side. That was the one. She was the one. She made all of the hotel arrangements. She made all of the plane, airplane arrangements when he was bringing people in and out. She was the person that they talked to. Dominique even said that she was the one that, y'all remember, Dominique was the one whose mother came and rescued her on the documentary. Dominique even said that because she got in trouble a lot, because she was very rebellious, she got in trouble a lot, and R. Kelly would leave her a lot. He would take out Joycelyn or Faith or Azriel, but he would leave Dominique at home a lot because he punished her. And because she was left alone a lot, she was left with Diana a lot. And she said that it hurt when she saw Diana, because Diana did an interview on Good Morning America, and she said it hurt that Diana denied the whole thing, because she said me and her talked, and I thought she actually cared about me. Like, I thought she actually understood, because we had these conversations and she knew how I felt and she knew what I was going through. And basically she knew what was up. And it hurt her that she didn't stand with them, that she defended R. Kelly. Then we get into, they told the story of one night where he got mad at Dominique because they was at a party and Dominique was twerking with another girl. He got upset, and so he took Dominique and that other girl into a room and forced them to fight each other. Just manipulation. Just manipulation. Aaliyah. So part 3, a large part of part 3 was about Aaliyah. So let me get into the Aaliyah thing. Barry Hankerson, who was Aaliyah's uncle, was once upon a time R. Kelly's manager. That is the connection, right? I forgot. I don't know if I ever knew, or I forgot that Gladys Knight was Aaliyah's aunt. I think I knew that. Barry said that he's estranged from his sister because he feels like the sister knew more than what she said. But let's be clear. Everybody said that Barry knew what was going on, and everybody said that Barry lied. Barry said that he stopped dealing with R. Kelly after he found out about Aaliyah, but everybody said that he lied, that he worked with R. Kelly well into 2006, 2007, after R. Kelly, of course, after Aaliyah and R. Kelly were no longer dealing with each other. Of course, in 2001, Aaliyah died. They said Aaliyah's name was spoken 261 times at the trial. She was actually Jane Doe number 1. And even though she was not there to testify, they were able to submit, the fact that, the marriage certificate, testimony that she was with him. They had witnesses that said they saw them having sex together. The fact that she allegedly was pregnant, and one of his assistants said that he took her, posed as her uncle, and took her to go get an abortion. Allegedly, there is an actual tape of the two of them together, and I'm wondering if one of those exhibits, because they said that they had tapes on top of tapes on top of tapes, and I'm wondering if in those exhibits, if in any of those exhibits, one of the tapes with Aaliyah was part of it. She met him when she was 12. There was another woman by the name of Nakia Festal. Now, Nakia needs some help. No, not Nakia. Oh, she's the one that said that he lied, that Barry lied, that he was still working for R. Kelly after Aaliyah. They said that R. Kelly would manipulate the girls by telling them that their mothers wanted him. He would say, don't listen to your mother. Your mother's just jealous. Your mother wanted me, but she's too old for me, or she's too fat for me, or she's not as pretty as you are. So, one of the women testified and said that's what he did with Azriel. He said, "Oh, your mother was just jealous. She wanted me. I knew your mother. I had met your mother years ago, and I wouldn't date her, and so she's just jealous of me now." And so again, y'all, these girls were being manipulated, and they said all that to imply. They never came right out and said it. Thank you, Virgin Love. They never came right out and said it, but they implied that R. Kelly had something going on with Aaliyah's mother, whether it was true or fabricated, but that they implied it. They didn't come right out and say it. Right, the RICO charges allowed them to, because again, they were showing him running a criminal enterprise. Right, exactly. Ebony she was a dancer. Now, she met R. Kelly when she was 16. Now, Ebony, I'm side-eyeing Ebony, and I'm side-eyeing Ebony's mother, and I'm going to tell you why. Not that I don't think she was a victim, because she was. I believe that. But I'm side-eyeing some things. So the first thing I'm side-eyeing is she met him when she was in high school. She met him at a party. So that means you and your friends were someplace y'all shouldn't have been underage. But we've all done it, been there, done that, child. Okay, I'm not judging. But she said that they kept in touch, or they dated all till she graduated from high school. She said the man even came to her high school graduation. Now, her mother had a problem with them dating. And when she continued to date R. Kelly behind her mother's back and lie to her mother and everything else, her mother put her out. Now, mama, in hindsight, I'm sure you know that was a bad decision. Because where did you think she was going to go? Your daughter is dating a 30-year-old millionaire. I mean, I don't know how old he was at the time, but we know he was older. Um, she met him, excuse me, y'all. She met him in 1993 because she overlapped Aaliyah. So he was in his late 20s and he was, the man. You put your daughter out the house because you didn't think her dating R. Kelly was a good idea and she was going to continue to date R. Kelly behind your back. So you thought putting her out the house was going to do what? So, of course, what did she do? She moved in with R. Kelly. Now, what's interesting is that she went to college. She continued her education. She went to college. And she was the one that talked about the back arching. She went into detail where she said that he taught her about arching her back. And she said that he used to make her sit there for hours with her back arched for hours. And he would leave her in that position. He would leave her in that position and videotape her. And if she moved from that position, then of course he would punish her or whatever. Now, here's where I say I'm side-eyeing her. And I'm not side-eyeing her from the point of view of I don't believe her. But this baby needs some help. She really needs some help. Now, she's the one that said she found the sex tape of him with Aaliyah. And when he realized that she found the tape and that she had been snooping in his things, he pushed her down the steps. That's her story. And I believe her. But here's where here's where when people say, when people don't give victims grace, here's where I get upset. This woman sat there crying. She asked for a tissue. She said she needed a minute, but y'all know they kept the cameras rolling while they were talking to her. She said that she still loves him, that he's not a horrible person. He did horrible things, and that he's not a bad person. But then she turns around and tells a story about, she said she broke up, they broke up. She went and dated another guy, had a baby, but then they got back together. And she said one day she had her oldest daughter over there, and one day they went to McDonald's. And she noticed that R. Kelly was not looking at her, but he kept looking in the rearview mirror at her daughter. And she said that listen what she said. She said she never brought her daughter around him again. She didn't say she stopped going over there and she stopped spending time with him. She said she just never brought her daughter anymore. These people are so traumatized. They are so traumatized. Tiffany Hawkins went back again. They went back talking to her, and they talked about the Aaliyah situation, how she wanted. So her trial must have been before Aaliyah died, because I have in my notes here that she wanted Aaliyah to be a witness. I don't know. I could be wrong, y'all. Let me put that pin in that, because I clearly got my timeline wrong on that. But they talk about the annulment of between R. Kelly and Aaliyah. Now, allegedly, Aaliyah and R. Kelly got married because she was pregnant. And he felt like that was his way of making sure he didn't get in any trouble, because of course you can't hide a baby, the girl pregnant. And I guess he didn't want to force her to, I don't know. She ended up having an abortion though. I don't know. But once the family found out about it, that is when they cut all ties. They were like, absolutely not. Once the family found out but instead of pressing charges, instead of whatever, they did the annulment, and R. Kelly made them sign an NDA. Now, they showed a screenshot where it looked like that he did sign away some of the rights. Allegedly, he signed away the rights to the royalties of his first 3 albums. Allegedly. And I say allegedly because they did not confirm that. That doesn't mean it's true. It is an NDA, but they did not confirm that. But remember, an NDA cannot cover a crime. So the NDA is not valid if it's covering up a crime. And this was clearly covering up a crime. You can't make somebody sign an NDA to cover up a crime. Like, that's illegal. And people need to understand that Aaliyah was no love affair. I think a lot of times we romanticize, and I say we, I mean as society, we romanticize the R. Kelly Aaliyah story. Yeah, she was underage, but they really loved each other. Stop romanticizing that, because they said in the NDA, I already told y'all that at the end that in the NDA there was talks of physical abuse as well as sexual abuse. Let's be clear. We love Aaliyah, but he did the same thing to Aaliyah that he did with everybody else. He did the same thing to Aaliyah that he did with everybody else, okay? He put his hands on her. He abused her physically, emotionally, sexually. I believe that. There was another woman by the name of Addie who R. Kelly allegedly sexually assaulted 2 days after he married Aaliyah. There was no love there, okay? There was no love there. When I say a lot of people romanticize it. I mean, again, I'm guilty. I'm guilty. Because again, I was like, oh, that's messed up. He messed with that little girl. But I thought, because we didn't know about all the rest of this at the time, I thought, okay, they worked together, yada, yada, yada. Again, at the trial, a couple of young men testified. The John Doe who testified under the name of Lewis met at the McDonald's drive-thru. They called him nephew. And again, a lot of the girls in their testimony, when they talked about how they were forced to have sex with other people, the name nephew kept coming up. He's the nephew that they're talking about. They started calling him nephew. Of course, he was nobody's nephew, but the name kept coming up of nephew. Hold on, y'all. Sorry, y'all. Don't forget at 8 o'clock, or as soon as in about 10 minutes when I shut this down, we're heading over to TSF Entertainment to talk about riches. Okay. His entourage continued to threaten and intimidate a lot of the women. Sparkle's niece, I don't think Sparkle's niece was a part of this. I do not think Sparkle's niece participated in this, unless Tiffany is the niece. I was the same as Aaliyah, and I thought it was lucky to have R. Kelly. Looking now as an adult, I was so oblivious to what was happening. How did other adults miss it? Child. Yeah, I don't think. What's my how many likes do I have? It's 133 people in the room. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate it. If everybody could hit that like button, please, and thank you. Yeah, I do not think that Sparkle's niece participated in part 3. I don't remember seeing her. She testified at the trial. Yes, she did. I remember her testifying at the trial, but she did not participate in the documentary. Yeah. Child, in the closing argument, the prosecution was able to tie everything together. They were able to tie everything together. The defense, child, why did the defense compare R. Kelly to Martin Luther King? I remember that happening. In their closing argument, they compare R. Kelly to Martin Luther King. My boy, Dr. Mark Anthony Neal, a professor at Duke University who I have had the pleasure of working with. I did a program with him a few years ago dealing with the civil rights movement. He actually was a part of it. I just wrote my name down. So shout out to Dr. Neal. He's a real cool guy. Learned some great stuff about him. He is he runs he's a professor there as well, but he also runs a center where there are a lot of artifacts from the civil rights movement. He's over that. Yeah. But yeah, Martin Luther King, girl. Martin Luther the King. The jury was out. Now, while the jury was out, they allowed the press. Thank you, Tracy. Yes. They allowed the press to listen to the tapes. They still could not view the tapes. I did, Abby. Thanks for reminding me. I did. I pulled the last two names. Sorry, I didn't pull yours. Sorry. They allowed them to listen to the audio tapes. And the audio tapes were absolutely horrific. Without even seeing what was happening, they could hear the conversation. And they were saying things like, "Yes, Daddy, I'm a dirty bitch. You need to teach me. Yes, Daddy, I'll spank me. Yes, Daddy, I've been a bad girl. Yes, Daddy." And it was remember all of them said that they had to call him Daddy. They could hear him saying, "That's why I beat you, because you don't know how to please me. Now get down on your knees." They said that they could hear one girl saying, "Yes, pee all over me," and they could actually hear the sound of some, you know how it sounds when somebody peeing, right? They were like, "Yes, pee all over me." They could actually hear, the person having the feces rubbed all over them, and them, saying, "Yes, Daddy, yes, Daddy." I mean, y'all, they said it was so sickening that the members of the press literally had to, like, there were members of the press that literally walked out. They were like, "Okay, I can't. That's enough." And that's that's without them seeing the tape. Remember, the jury saw it. The jury had to watch these tapes. They only heard it. And they heard some of the things he said to them. And he basically said in the tapes, get down on your knees, and and I'm thinking to myself, and that's why I said Aaliyah's tape may have been in there. Aaliyah's tape may have been in there because there were so many tapes of all of these different women. They said that he videotaped everything. They said he videotaped. So that was to his, he had all of these tapes that they found. And that they said he taped everything. So now maybe because Aaliyah became such a thing, maybe he destroyed the tape. I don't know. But a lot of these women, their tapes, the ones that testified, their tapes were there and they were shown in court and the jury watched them. Again, the press only heard them. And but the jury watched it. Can you imagine having to sit through that? Knowing that these are, and the reality is, remember, he learned his lesson. So a lot of the girls he groomed, but he didn't actually have sex with them until they were 18. Remember, that's what happened with I want to say it was Azriel. It was either Azriel or Joycelyn. Remember, Joycelyn on her 18th birthday, around her, disappeared. Remember, same thing with Dominique, I believe it was on her 18th birthday. Like, he was talking to them, he was grooming them, but on their 18th birthday, boom, they disappeared. They went to him. But his earlier victims were underage. We know that his earlier victims were underage. And then from there, like the rest of the he didn't have that Hugh Hefner money to make the tapes disappear. Well, remember, a lot of those tapes didn't disappear until Hugh Hefner died. Remember that? Remember, they had a whole library. And when Hugh Hefner died, his secretary destroyed those. Y'all remember from the documentary? She destroyed, right, because Hugh Hefner had tapes of powerful people. And the tapes were destroyed after he died. Remember? From the according to the documentary, let me say that. According to the documentary, those tapes were destroyed after he died. He makes me not say yes, Daddy anymore, child. Okay. So the rest of the documentary, of course, the verdict came back guilty. And then the rest of the documentary just really talked about the impact and, the impact of the documentary and all of the different victims and their reaction to the verdict. It talked about, oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. the impact, the verdict, and just our world being different. Like again, post Me Too, a lot of these men are being held accountable post Me Too. You know, pre Me Too, we were talking about this the other day with the Steven Tyler and Elvis Presley and Jerry Lee Jones and so many of these musicians. Somebody even said Paul Walker before he died, his girlfriend was 16. So like, and I don't know if that's true. I didn't Google it. I'm just telling you what people in the chat said. Um, but um post Me Too, a lot of this stuff just don't fly the same as it used to. It just don't fly. Like, and that's why, I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna get out of here. But that's why going back to this Real Housewives of Potomac thing, people might say it's just a TV show, it's just a storyline, oh, it's a reality show, it's no big deal. But the reality is, in today's world, it's a big deal. It didn't used to be a big deal. It didn't used to be a big thing. But in today's world, it's a big deal. You can't just go around here accusing a man of putting you in a compromising position, putting you in an uncomfortable position, and saying that he touched you eh, without permission. That's not cute. That is serious. Maybe 20 years ago, it'd have been like, oh, girl. But it's really a serious thing these days. And it should have always been a serious thing, but we know it wasn't. But the reality of the situation is, hey, Aaliyah's parents need to be investigated. They already were. And they were, I believe in the documentary, it said that they were investigated and they were cleared. I think there's just not enough evidence to prove that they knew anything beforehand. If the mother's not willing to testify, the father's not willing to say anything, and the uncle's the only one talking, but he's saying he didn't know nothing. I mean, there really isn't any evidence that they don't have enough evidence to prove that they knew. According to the documentary, though, they were investigated. You didn't know who happened to, girl, you happened to pass a while ago, Nikki. Girl. We did the whole Playboy Bunny documentary, girl. So yeah, the documentary is a lot, y'all. It absolutely is a lot. And I wasn't even going to review this last part because I mean part one, I think part two was better for me than part one because in part two, I kind of knew what I was getting into, but part one, I had no clue how deep it went. I had no clue. Like, again, we had heard the rumors. I remember being in college and R. Kelly was the performer at homecoming. And I remember the jokes. We made jokes. Oh, y'all better be careful. R. Kelly's here. Y'all know he liked them young girls. And then it was bad in hindsight. It wasn't funny. And it was a bad joke. But as an 18-year-old, because it was my freshman year, so I was 17. I was a 17-year-old freshman. So at 17 years old, well, no, I'm sorry. I was a 17-year-old freshman, but I turned 18 that summer. Anyway, that's another conversation. I was 18 years old, child. By homecoming, I was 18. But I graduated from high school at 17. That's a better way of wording that. But at 18 years old, we didn't see it the way I see it as a grown woman now. But even at 18, we heard the rumors. Even at 18, we knew the rumors about R. Kelly liking young girls and liking. We knew all of it. We knew it, right? And so everybody, it was a systematic fail with R. Kelly. We were complicit as the consumers. We continued to buy his music. We continued to support him, go to his shows, yada. And when I say we, I don't mean every single person, y'all. So let's be clear. But watching that first documentary I had no clue what I was getting into. Hearing these stories, seeing those parents, the story of Dominique broke my heart. I'm so happy to hear that she's doing well. She's married now. She's got a daughter. She's gone through therapy. But baby, that thing broke my heart. Dominique's story, to see her mother literally have to play cat and mouse and literally rescue her, and they're running across the street in traffic with the cameras following behind them. I mean, Child. Enabling runs very deep, but it does, Lamont, it does, and that's why, you know, when we were talking about the Meg Thee Stallion thing, that's why, you know, I was so passionate about that, because I was like, and I think T. Jones said it as well, the way that we have been indoctrinated to protect our Black men and disregard our Black women. And we do it to each other. Black women do it to other Black women. They showed his supporters out there, Black women, all of them. There was not a white woman out there saying free R. Kelly. Not a one. Nail white woman saying free R. Kelly. I bet you it's a whole lot of white women that saying I believe I can fly, but not nail Black woman was out there saying free R. Kelly. He's innocent. But here we are out there, and we're out there. When I say we are, I ain't saying about me. I'm just saying Black women out there calling out the victims. Oh, they're liars. They're gold diggers. They're just out for money. I know we still gonna get to that, Tracy. He'll still be locked up even after Tory Lanez is released. Oh yeah, he's done, because he can go on trial in Chicago and it's gonna be all over again, child. It's no longer protecting. It's just enabling at this point. Yeah, exactly. You guys, if y'all could please hit the like button, I would appreciate it. And if you are new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, child. You know, just go hit the subscribe button. For those of you that watch the show Riches over on Amazon Prime, join us over at TSF. I'm literally getting off of here and hopping over there, like literally like boom and boom. We're starting at 8 o'clock, maybe 8:10 ish. But I'm going over there. The link is right there. Tracy dropped it in the chat, and it is up on the screen. It is TSF Entertainment. It's on YouTube. So come on over there. We're doing it live, and we're going to be talking about Riches. We're only doing episode 1 tonight. We decided we're going to break it down rather than do it as one long, one live. I thought you couldn't be charged for the crime more than once. No, you can't be acquitted more than once. He's not being charged the same thing. He's not being charged for the same crime. He's being charged in different jurisdictions against different people. Remember, New York did a RICO on him. Chicago's not doing a RICO, to my knowledge. Chicago's not doing a RICO on him. So it's different. He's being charged with different crimes. It's not the same crime. You can't be found not. If you're found not guilty, they can't charge you twice. But if you beat somebody up in Chicago and you beat somebody up in New York, they can both charge you with the same thing. It's two different victims. And again, remember, because New York charged, it was a RICO, they charged him with running a criminal conspiracy, a criminal enterprise. His charges in Chicago are different. And I think Atlanta dropped the charge. I think Atlanta was like, forget it. Because the charges in Atlanta were so, they didn't have as much evidence in Atlanta. And I think Atlanta was like, forget it. By the time New York and Chicago is done with him, why waste money on a trial? All right, y'all. Thank y'all for being here. If y'all could please hit that like button on your way out the door, it is much appreciated. And I will see y'all on the other side. I'm out.